You're welcome, Olushola Amusan.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we'll delve straight into what artificial intelligence is. We would not have to say what it is. We have a professional in the house already.
Exactly.
So let's start with what artificial intelligence is all about.
Yeah, well, I mean, the term artificial intelligence is a buzz word in today's world, particularly in 2019, and understandably so. Basically, it's the ability of a computer to be able to mimic human intelligence. So, and that's why it's called artificial intelligence. So first, we admit that our species, as humans, Homo sapiens, we're like the most intelligent of all the other species, even though people think there are other civilizations elsewhere, but that's not today's topic. So AI, for short, is basically the ability of a machine or a computer to mimic human intelligence. So we can read as humans, so you're making a computer read. We can, we can speak, all the things we can do as humans. Computer programmers are helping computers or machines to be able to do them, to save us time, to ensure that we can do all the important stuff and leave the boring stuff to machines to do for us, and also to be able to push the edge of our civilization and say what else is possible, and that's what the concept of artificial intelligence is.
Okay, now you mentioned that it is a buzz. When did this buzz start in Nigeria? Because I know other countries are ahead of us in terms of artificial intelligence. When did it start in Nigeria?
Well, I mean, the last few years, a lot of people, let me say that for every single thing you see that becomes a buzzword, first, there are a few early adopters. Okay. So in the wake of the last decade, there are people in universities across Nigeria who have been traveling for their programs abroad, writing theses about AI and all of things like that. But many people didn't know about it. But in today's world, because you now see some of these applications of AI in everyday service, in banking, in all of this. So a lot more people are warming up to it. So I'd say in the last 3-4 years, there's a lot more energy towards artificial intelligence. But in the wake of the decade, a lot of people who are in the academia already started paying attention to it. I mean, I have a friend who has a PhD specializing in artificial intelligence from a Nigerian university. And that's like 4 or 5 years to do, right? So he had a lecturer or a teacher who is a Nigerian teacher. So it's not so new. It's been around for some time. But those applications are getting even more popular and the use cases are getting into our space very well. And as you know, once Nigerians can afford something, like you would see it everywhere. So very soon now, you probably see self-driving cars soon. Don't be surprised because once Nigerians can afford it, then it's going to be available. Yeah, there's going to be a few challenges as well, potholes,
and we will get there.
Poor navigation, but we will get there.
Yes.
Okay, I'm aware that China is top on the list. China, United States, we have Germany,
Canada
Japan.
as well.
Canada, exactly, they're doing so well using AI. Where do you think Nigeria stands? Because we're used to doing things for ourselves. And we see that when something else comes up, we feel that, okay, something is trying to take our jobs.
And they trust.
Exactly. So where do you think Nigeria stands in the place of AI?
Yeah, not just Nigeria, but the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. Like, we're still very late adopters in so many ways. First, I would say that we are consumers, not producers. We like to wait for what is the next in thing we can use, not what's the next in thing we can produce. So Canada is leading. Canada, China, United States, many of the first world countries are driving massively on AI research and how they can apply it to industry, and all that. But because we have not even embraced automation, which is another side of things, like general automation. So if you get to an automobile assembly plant now, in most developed countries, there are only a few people working. Why? Because robotic arms are already putting all the things together. That's automation. We are still far behind. We don't even, except for a number of, I think 1 or 2 local brand manufacturers for cars, we don't have automation is not pushed the way it should be here. So we've not even gotten to the point where we would say, okay, now we want to program those robots to be able to do those things by themselves, to be able to think, to be able to do what we call recursive learning, and all of those other critical things. So I would say that as Nigerians, humans. They're actually amazing Nigerians all across the world who are driving these conversations in the top companies around the world.
Okay.
But as a country, we don't even have an AI strategy. We don't have an AI framework. There is no plan specifically to ensure that this is when exactly we are going to be teaching artificial intelligence at an ubiquitous level, at a level where it's generally available in all our universities. Or this is our strategy for how to ensure it doesn't take all our jobs away. That's how to transition from, the effects of automation and the future of work and what we need to do about it. Many countries that we just mentioned, like Canada and the United States, are drawing up plans to make sure that their young people are embracing what we call STEM fields, computing, so that they can get ready for the future of work. Unlike Nigeria, we are still focusing on some of the most mundane, some of the most basic things. We have an election coming. We're still trying to even understand, whether violence is good or not. So we are really, really way behind. But there are a few outliers within our system as well who are making a massive commitment to this. I've met a few friends the past year. I started a venture myself that basically focuses on helping young Nigerians and young Africans appreciate the value of data science and artificial intelligence, and I have seen some of the brightest minds on this continent coming out from Nigeria.
From Nigeria. Do you think that it should be included in one of the courses that we go to study in university?
Come on, definitely. I would advocate for it 100%. And I would say there should actually even be incentives, like for deciding to study artificial intelligence. I think the government of Nigeria, of Lagos State, should make a commitment and say, look, for all the students who are accepted into the artificial intelligence department of so-so university, who have qualified by merits and who are smart enough to be able to pursue it, they should get XYZ, and this same government should also lay down some framework to say, look, for every single person who graduates, with an artificial intelligence degree or bachelor's, or even a computer science degree focusing on machine learning and artificial intelligence, there should be some form of arrangement to make sure that they're linked up and connected with top jobs around the world, whether locally or internationally.
Okay. Right, so if I'm correct, AI is in categories. Can you tell us those categories of AI?
Yeah, so there are a number of applications of AI. The most popular people like to talk about is machine learning. And a lot of people can't even decipher the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence. So because artificial intelligence is the broader field and machine learning is just really a field of being able to, sort of like train models, machine learning models, to be able to perform tasks that humans would otherwise, be the ones performing. There are other fields like computer vision, where basically you're trying to help computers to be able to identify images. And this is based on quite a number of principles. One of the popular principles of computer vision is neural networks. So you place a camera, you have trained the software model to be able to tell that if you see an object that looks like this, refer it to several characters or attributes that we have set for this object. So if it has a head and it has two ears, it's a mammal, and it most likely can be a human, a dog, or a goat. Then if it's walking on four legs, there's a chance that it's not a human anymore, right? So you continue to train the AI in that manner, and soon enough, it can even tell a Chihuahua from a Lhasa, or a bull terrier, or from a German Shepherd, right? So that's computer vision. There is natural language processing, which is part of it is text to speech. Part of it is being able to understand natural languages. So you're speaking to
like Siri?
A bot. Well, like Siri, right? You speak to a bot, like Cortana. Cortana, for example, when you speak to it on your Windows computer, essentially, it can talk back at you, and it can understand what you're saying. Now, part of the challenges, and which is what I'm trying to advocate for in Sub-Saharan Africa, is how many African languages are actually made available for those AI to be able to process. And that would only happen when you have Nigerians running their thesis, running their programs, running their bachelors, and building programs that will focus on Nigerian languages. So even if someone who has left Nigeria for 30 years or who is a second-generation immigrant in the US, is now an AI engineer working in a top company, and he has to program Yoruba into the kind of Yoruba he's going to definitely speak is different from the guy who is in Ibadan or your state. So we need to get more people who are internal here and who care about some of these things so that our culture can be integrated into the advances that are happening in technology. There are some image recognition software that find it difficult to recognize people. Because they have tribal marks or because they have a kind of look. Yeah, so because essentially, the people that they're using as black people are people who've left the continent 100 years earlier. So the image recognition algorithm might not be as accurate as you'd expect it to be. You know, so those are a number of fields. You know, I mentioned machine learning, which then leads to computer vision, natural language processing, and there are quite a number of other applications like conversational AI. So you see those banks who are doing chatbots now, so that you don't need, you don't need to talk to a teller or a customer service official before you get anything done.
Now, I think, well, I'm seeing more of problems than it's been more than its advantages, because when you look at it, you're talking about now, you just an example where you're probably talking to a computer that'll be helping you do your customer service, where you're supposed to employ someone, you know. So I feel that the disadvantages are more than the advantages, because in Nigeria we already have the issue of unemployment, and then we are trying so hard. I know that the government is trying so hard, you know, to solve that problem. But then we are advocating for artificial intelligence that will come and take the jobs that we are even trying, you know. So how, you know? So
if we look at it at the surface level, you will be right. But if we go deeper, then it will be.
Do we have to go deep?
Yeah, right we have to. We have to. Let me explain what I mean. Okay. What I mean is, if you take a look at the issue on the surface level, you would think that AI would take away all our jobs. But the question really is, let me give you an example. People argue that if you create an automatic gate that can open by itself, you would displace a gate man. Right? That's what they argue to do. But what we say is that the greatest application of human potential, to just be at a gate and open it and close it? No. So when 2 gate men lose their jobs because of that, there are 6 to 10 more new jobs created as to who can make a gate that will open, who can program the gate to open, who can ensure that the gate is not hacked by someone else when there is an emergency, who can make sure that, you know, the actual mechanics of the gate is correct. So it creates more jobs. So when you think about it, as you feel that people are losing jobs, there's several other jobs being created. So smart governments make a decision to prepare their people for what the next level of things are. I'm going to give this last example, and the example is about, you know, if you have you know, the time when horses were the in thing. People went to work with their horses and donkeys and carts, right? And then cars came. All the people who had horses and who had, you know, the ranches, they lost their jobs, essentially. But there were many more auto mechanics jobs that were created. So Gartner, which is a global research company, says that 2.3 million new data science and AI jobs will open up by 2021. The World Economic Forum says that by 2025, 63 million new jobs would have been added over all the jobs that have been taken by AI. My question is, how is Nigeria getting ready for this move? Because whether we like it or not, the change is here.
Those jobs that are going to be supposedly created would be for those who know the technology know-how.
Exactly.
So that's know-how, but those that do not know are left behind.
See, change is the only constant thing. And evolution, if you understand the theory of evolution, for people who didn't evolve, if you want to evolve to the next level, there are things you need to do. It's called survival instinct, right? And if you do not perform at that level, what happens to you? You're completely edged out. So you are saying it as if we have a choice. We don't really have a choice. What we must realize is that we need to change our focus in terms of how we are training people, how we're getting people skilled up, okay? I mean, the first artificial intelligence newscaster came live in China 3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
Are you not scared for your jobs now?
I'm really scared.
But I mean,
when I saw the news,
it would take a long time for us to be able to program AI to do what we call recursive learning at a very high level, to be able to answer and ask questions intelligently the way you are. If it's about reading text, which is news, to viewers, that's easy. But if it's about knowing the next question to ask me based on my body language or how I expressed it, we're going to take a long time. And it might not be so long, maybe a few decades, and we'll be there, you know, but you don't need to worry, at least for the next 10 years. You still have a job, right?
After 10 years, what happened?
Well, you need to begin to think about, because the world is... See, let me give you a very interesting statistics.
Okay.
All the data in the world right now, 80% of all the data in the world was created in the last 5 years. Isn't that scary? That is so scary. That's like, we don't even know what can happen like in the next 10 years.
10 years.
Because there wasn't Snapchat, there wasn't Instagram, there wasn't Twitter in the last 10 years. You know, so all the pictures, all the videos, the number of people who now have smartphones and all of this.
Exactly.
So really, change used to happen every 18 months before. Now it happens like so quickly, and we have to get ready for it. We can't be sympathetic. We can't pity ourselves and say, oh, what are we going to do now? Oh, jobs are going to be taken away. Oh, our people will have to go back to school.
I still have more to say on that point, but we need to go on. We need to break.
Yeah.
You can join us tomorrow for another exciting episode of Tea or Coffee.